Hey, I am so excited today to be interviewing Matt Mays. As well, I'm actually privileged to say Matt's a friend, but Matt has been just an extremely successful franchisee and record sales and franchisee of the year. So an award-winning franchisee and but also just a wonderful human being and a man of faith. And so I'm just so excited to talk to you today, Matt. And so welcome to our Fran Faith podcast.
I am so thankful to be here, Todd.
Great. All right. Well, Matt, I think I'm reaching you. You're in Louisville, Kentucky. That's where you've had your Office Pride franchise is in Louisville. I happen to be in Seville, Spain today, but Matt is such a busy guy that I was able to pin him down here this morning so that we could do an interview and hear his story. So, Matt, first off, talk to me about your desire to get into franchising. Why did you first get into your franchise?
Yeah. So rewind about 8 years ago, I was living in Cincinnati. I had a little consulting business. I was doing some financial modeling for some guys independently, and I was talking with a girl, and it got serious. So I was like, I'm going to be moving to Louisville. So I closed down my consulting shop, and I went to a business broker. I looked what he had for sale, all different kinds of businesses, and this franchise called Office Pride Commercial Cleaning, it caught my eye. I've never done anything in the commercial cleaning space, not a lick of experience. However, I did feel in my heart I wanted to do something where I could really invest in people. And I've heard some stories, with cleaning, you can have a good sized organization, impact a lot of lives from across various demographics. And that was appealing to me, but I had very, very little bit of knowledge in the industry. So decided to give it a look and learned a little bit more online about Office Pride, established strong reputation, founded by a guy named Todd Hopkins. And I was like, well, let's go meet him and discuss what a future might look like together. So flew down to Florida where their headquarters is, met with the team there. And honestly, Todd, I felt good. It was one of those where it kind of felt too good to be true. Like, Lord, is this what you have in store for us? It seemed like He was opening up a door pretty wide to walk through. Yeah, we struck a deal, and I was excited to become part of the Office Bride family. At the time, it was a very small franchise. It had about 25, 26 part-time employees. It was doing a little north of 300 in revenue, so a very small organization. However, there was a lot of potential. Louisville was a very much underdeveloped market, a good sized growing market, a lot of manufacturing that we could get into, distribution. And I saw a lot of upside there, and Office Pride also did. And they saw it as a great market. So, yeah, the stars aligned. The Lord blessed us with good relationships from the very start. So, yeah, we started our journey as becoming an Office Pride franchisee with just one unit, handful of employees. I was doing a lot of the work, learning the industry, getting my hands dirty. So trying to figure out, hey, how do we manage this many people across a dispersed workforce? We had about, I don't know, 25, 30 locations at the time, all over throughout the city. I didn't know the city. So there's a lot of learning that first year. But on top of that, there was a lot of growth. So the Lord had blessed us over the first several years, almost $1 million added of top line growth. So
Wow.
we are super encouraged by that. A little bit, I was,
So let's back up a second. First of all, you mentioned Todd Hopkins. We recently had Todd, on doing an interview on the podcast because I found it fascinating building a faith-based franchisor. And so I think you and I first met at one of the Office Pride meetings, I think, pretty early on. And so I was quite impressed that it lives out through the franchisees. And so that's why I was kind of excited to have you on. So I'm kind of curious, how old were you at the time then when you did this? You said you were dating this girl, you moved to Louisville, you needed to find something to do. It's a great story. How old were you at the time when that was?
yeah, I think I'd have been 27.
27. Okay.
27.
All right. And so then when you said you had 25 locations, so you started with one location and then you built to 25 customers. Is that what you were talking about?
So actually, I had bought for the first unit an existing unit that had
Okay.
a handful of locations, a lot of small, medium-sized
So when
customers.
you said you had those locations, they had a small number of customers at that time. Okay,
That's right.
good.
That's
I
right.
get you. All right. So now you're building this, and you quickly move to 1 million in revenue, top line revenue. You said.
Yeah, I don't know the exact timeline, but it was quick. Probably a year after we had started, the sales were just flowing in, and really, I give
And
credit not.
what do you think the key to that success was in
Yeah,
terms of getting to that sales level?
I wish I could say I was a stellar salesperson, but I can't honestly say that. I think that that was truly a benefit of buying this franchise. A lot of the systems, the back office support, the marketing that they had done prior to me purchasing it, a lot of that fed this growth. So there was a lot of inbound leads coming in. I was still doing the outbound, the networking, getting to know, building relationships, and all of that good stuff, and that brought in some business. But really, what moved the needle was the website leads that were coming in, the phone calls that were coming in from building up that brand for some time before. Again, benefit of a franchise. However, I was able to, be trained by the previous owner, who's also an area developer, as well as the Office Pride training team of, hey, how do you sell this thing? How do you close a deal? How do you maintenance it well for that first year? So it was a combination of factors, but really thankful to hit the ground running and be thrown, a lot of new opportunities quickly.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Then, so I guess I don't fully know the answer to this question. I probably should before I ask it, but did you end up getting the girl? Is that the
I got the girl. So
you
we are
got the
happily
girl?
married.
Okay, all right.
Yes, yeah. So my
So
wife,
the
her name is Kelsey, and
okay,
we are blessed with two little ones. Actually, they just had birthdays. Sawyer is our oldest, in which you've held her at a very young age, and then Scarlett, she is one. So she just turned one this past end of March.
okay,
So yeah,
okay.
we're a happy
So
family.
so you so the one that you originally moved to Louisville, you got her. That's Kelsey, and you built a family, a beautiful family, all at the same time while you built this franchise, which is incredible. And then, as I recall from hearing your story, and then when you won Franchisee of the Year, you've continued to grow your sales to pretty impressive level. It sounds like with commercial cleaning, as long as you can add teams and scale, you can continue to grow really nicely, especially when you're not restricted to locations or anything.
Yeah, very blessed in that. I learned a lot, those first couple years of how to grow well, what to do, what really more of what not to do. A lot of mistakes made there. We're continued to be blessed though, even through that with continued growth. So a lot of our growth, actually vast majority of our growth was all organic sales. And then we did add on, there was a unit in Lexington a few years in that I was able to purchase with a partner at the time. And we took that over. We gave it some strong leadership, started adding some top line to it, stabilized that market. I bought out my partner from there. And then probably just a few months after that, I decided to start a unit down in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. I had some family ties. They're a very small market. And really, I thought that was just going to be a baby business that I could maybe retire on one day. Just something fun to do. And the Lord has really blessed that market. So I thought that, if it did 500, 750 in top line, maybe make a few hundred and in bottom line, that it'd be a good little business to hold on to. But the Lord has really blessed it. He brought a lot of growth in to the E-Town market, and it's booming. It's well over what I had ever imagined that it would do. I think, forward investments recently have really helped that, brought a lot of contractors in, brought a lot of manufacturing in. And that's our specialty here in the Kentucky region, is taking care of manufacturing spaces. So doing not only the nighttime office cleaning, but also doing some of the day porter type work, and just a lot of opportunity all around.
Okay, wow. So how far is like Louisville from Lexington, and then how far is Elizabethtown from Louisville?
Yeah, Louisville to
So in other
Lexington
words,
is,
how far are those?
yeah, about an hour and a half. And then Louisville to E-Town, about 45 minutes.
Okay. And then you've clearly must have trained up team leaders to that kind of watch over each of those markets. And
Yes, yeah. So we moved to a branch manager type model.
okay.
Yeah, previously we were trying to manage everything from one location, and it was tough to do, not having eyes, ears, really good touch points with customers and employees, and hard to promote from within without building those good relationships. So we
Right.
moved several years back to the branch manager model to have a very strong leader overseeing each market, somebody that can make it their own, operate autonomously, essentially, but also get the support from the home office. So create a parent company in order to provide them, accounting, HR support, do their payroll, all of that good stuff. That way they can focus in on loving and taking care of our customers, employees well. And then
Yeah.
we have a salesperson, both on the top side, the parent company, as well as training for all the branch managers so that they can sell as well, in case they want to
Okay.
continue to grow their market.
Gotcha. Okay. So effectively you've had a lot of organic growth and you've really done that through multi-units in those key markets. But basically some of those markets have been just fresh starts. I mean, Elizabethtown was a fresh start. Lexington was a fresh start. So very impressive that you've learned that pattern and done that over and over and been able to grow organically and do really well with that. One of the things in your story that was just kind of blew me away, Matt, and it was probably the reason that we have you on, is not only were you successful in the franchise world with multi-units and all of these sites, but one day I'm sitting there talking at you at a meal, I can recall, and the guy next to me is all of a sudden introduced and he says, "Oh, I'm Matt's staff pastor." And I don't think I had ever heard anybody use those words in combination. And he said, I'm the staff pastor. And how many employees did you get up to, or how many employees do you have?
Yeah, a little north of
Again,
150.
150. And you hired a staff pastor. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that came about and what that all was?
Yeah, yeah. So that's really hitting at my heart. Growing a business, you get busy very quickly and loving what I do. But I still felt a calling to make a difference in people's lives, to really be involved, live out my faith in more practical ways that I felt good about and they felt good about. They felt truly loved, not just, a paycheck, but also like, hey, you have a friend in me and somebody that gets to know you, your needs, and ultimately cares about your spiritual needs, like what's going on in your heart. Do you have hope? Do you live, with that hope that goes beyond this world? So the demographic that we employ, very much lower income for a lot of them, and they face a lot of trauma, a lot of hardship, a lot of financial difficulty. And my heart just breaks for that, especially getting to know these people, working side by side with them, hearing story after story of the stuff that they face. And it hurts to hear that and not really be able to do anything, especially when there's 150 people. Like, how can I practically serve the needs with so much going on? So at the time, I'd brought in a sales guy, and he was just on fire for the Lord, on fire. And a friend of mine was going through a really hard time with their child, and I had come in one day, I kind of distraught over it, and I asked, "Can somebody be praying for me and this family right now?" And he prayed a prayer over us. It was on a Friday morning, and I just I could feel his heart. I knew that it was genuine and pure. He loved Jesus from the inside out. And I was thinking later that evening, like, man, how cool would it be? Because he was a blessing for me just to pray for me. How cool would it be if he were just to have a job with us, calling and praying for people, whatever their needs are, and do that within our company, just as a role. So I called him up right then. I was like, hey, man, would you be interested? This was on Friday night. He's like, when do I start? Monday morning. So he comes in Monday morning, with a new role. We have no idea what it's going to look like. And he's like, what do I do? Where do I start? I don't know. Here's the employee list. Here's the roster. So he starts out, hey, Adam, and calls the guy. And he's like, hey, I want to introduce myself. And as a company minister, want to minister to your needs, your spiritual needs. Is there anything going on in your life right now? And his response, the first guy, he's like, yeah, I was actually thinking about taking my life. And Tony, that's the name of our company minister. He's like, whoa, we need to pray. You need to see the hope, the joy that I have for life and be filled with a purpose. And he started to have that conversation. And Tony came to me after that call. He's like, Matt, there's a need here. And I think it's far greater than what you and I even understand right now. And he was spot on in saying that. So we started getting some counsel for, hey, what do we do? And how do we properly serve these people? We're not, certified in counseling or anything like that. So how can we put together some resources for these people? What can we do to love them well? And that's what we did. So we built out very quickly a ministry guide with all sorts of crisis hotlines and counseling hotlines, food pantries on there, local church partnerships are on there. So our aim is to get people plugged in to healthy local churches where they can grow as a community and be loved by others, not just within our company. So
Wow.
that started to really motivate us, seeing the need one after another. We had then created these things called ministry visits. So after an employee comes on board, they watch a video of me kind of outline the culture of our company, how we lead with love and care for our employees, and ultimately why we do this is because we have a king who is greater and worth serving beyond anything of this world. So we're not in it for the profits, we're in it for his kingdom to come. So that little video, the onboarding video, communicates the message, who Jesus is, just a little bit. And then after that, they get an invite to fill out a form called a What's Your Story form. So we're asking them questions of who they are. Do they have any family or hobbies, or do they have a church they go to? Do they have any religious beliefs? Completely optional, voluntary stuff, just to see, is there any interest? After that, every single person gets a ministry visit. So that's where Tony goes in and he just says, hey, here's a snack pack. Thank you for all your hard work. Here's some chips, a juice box. A little prayer card is in there, a little piece of candy is in there. And he asked them, hey, can I pray for you? Is there anything I can be praying for, your family, your health, your job, anything like that? So he builds their relationship there. And then after that, we have a few other ministry things going on throughout the week, kind of a cadence that we keep up with. On Monday mornings, we send out a weekly devotional to all of our employees. On Thursdays, we have a corporate prayer, weekly corporate prayer that we invite everybody to come into. To be praying for the needs of others within the organization. On Wednesdays, we have a weekly worship song, which gets a lot of attention. People love the songs that go out. We have a monthly Bible study that we host around a conference room table, inviting anybody to come that's interested in learning more about the Bible. We've got community outreach events where we go to a local nursing home and we play a little music and we play bingo with them and love it. Have some giveaways, build relationships there, and do a few other things with the community. But really just a good time to connect, bring people together from all different walks of life, different walks of spiritual life, and just love on them, and that has really brought a lot of purpose and meaning through what we do. And we view the business as kind of just a vessel of how we can love people, how we can reach people so that, they can hear the hope of Jesus.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Matt, that was a lot, and you're an impressive guy, and to kind of start a ministry really within your business from a dead stop and figure that out, and then figure out how to help people is incredible. And I'm sure folks are curious, what has that done for your culture in terms of some of the stories that have happened with some of your people, like to start off day one with the young man that was considering suicide. I'm sure that there's many other stories over the years, and I think people would love to hear what's happened with your culture.
Yeah, good question. It's humbling, it's very sobering every time we hear a story. So in our branch manager calls weekly, we have a section for ministry updates, like we do for all the other parts of the business.
Yep.
It's a
So just
time.
like when you're running your business, you've got key metrics on your business. you're doing key metrics within your business on your ministry, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's something that we value and we want to hear
Yeah.
about. We want to celebrate the
Yeah.
wins. We want to learn from the losses, and we want to grow. We want to be better at loving others and encouraging others. So, especially during those weekly meetings and that time, everybody is dialed in. Everyone is already presenting their facts, their figures from the previous week, and those can kind of feel a little bit monotonous or redundant at times. But when it comes to the ministry, it's like you can hear a pin drop. All of the management team, they want to hear what's going on. They want to hear these kinds of stories because you're right. It's not just one story. Even if it was one story, all glory to God. It was all worth it. Every last penny and time investment that we have poured into this ministry, it would have been worth it for that one sheep. Thankfully, the Lord has blessed us with tons of opportunities. We've seen people get baptized, like join local churches, get baptized, and so forth. But what that does for us as a culture is that it unites us in a deeper way. We're not just a commercial cleaning company, and there's nothing wrong with the commercial cleaning company at all. But we just have this deeper tie with one another, especially the leadership team that hear these stories and they're like, oh, wow, they're about serving others, that they're not doing this, to glorify their name. They're doing this to glorify the name of Jesus Christ. And that just motivates people, even people that aren't believers. They're intrigued by it. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you taking the time to hear me out? They're not used to it. It's like, this is kind of strange. A company is doing it. So
Yeah.
it's
And
good
then
though.
and then do you find that that becomes more comfortable? They see that you care. And so even if they're maybe not a believer, they just at least know they're loved. I
That's
mean, I
right.
think even if you're not a believer, everybody wants to be loved at the end of the day, right? Yeah. So that's a big part of the culture too, a positive part. It sounds like you're caring and loving people, not really beating them over the head with it.
Yeah, we want to pull them in rather than push them into something. Like we want to
Yeah.
pull them into something good. Like we have a encourage. We're constantly lifting people up, what they're going through, and it's hardship after hardship after hardship. Even amongst the closest inner circle, we face hard things and we need one another. And the Lord gives us one another so that we can persevere to the end. He works through the means of
Yeah.
His people to lift them up. So oftentimes I feel like the most blessed person out of all of this because I've got people that are just loving me, and we're able to lift up all of our concerns together in prayer, and it changes you. It humbles you and
Yeah.
it really changes you.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, hopefully some of our listeners get inspired and can follow in your footsteps and build faith-based franchise units where they know that they can care for their people in the marketplace and love them up and even take some of their profits and build ministries like you have. It's very impressive. Now, my understanding is that you have recently been called and called away from Office Pride, and so maybe you can talk to us a little bit about that. That you've actually sold your business now, and so you've come full circle. And so, give us a sense there of what's going on and what you're calling now.
Yeah, yeah. Very difficult, very confusing over the past 6 months, a year, really, that the Lord has placed an emphasis on missions, international missions. My heart for missions has always been here locally, my company and the people within. There's a mission field, and we were doing that. But both my wife and I, we felt this pulling into something different. So I was like, okay, Lord, I will follow wherever you lead. So I was talking to a friend of mine who owns 5 franchises up in the Indiana and Ohio area. I'm just kind of talking to him, seeing if has any interest in buying or expanding. And he said, absolutely. And it happened very quickly from that conversation. It seemed, just like when we had come into it, I had mentioned a little bit too good to be true kind of thing. Like, man, the Lord just must have His sovereign hand over this. This is where He wants me. And it felt the very same for this exit over the past 6 months, where conversation after conversation just led organically and naturally. He's aligned with our values and the mission. His heart is for the people. He had plenty of stories. It'd be a very short list of people that I'd even be willing to sell to, and he's on that list. So it's the reason why he was the first person, the only person I talked to about it. For somebody
So
that
the
can,
the company culture and the pastor and all of that they had the same heart, and that will all continue on,
yeah, what's so neat,
which
yeah.
is a huge blessing, yeah, to the people. And so where are you going? Have you chosen where overseas that you're going to be working on?
So we're not sure yet. Do have to. I've got a couple things I have to keep under wraps for right now. However, we are at least going through the process with the IMB. So they may send us out somewhere and have a lot of resources for us. Also working on something that would be more business as mission internationally. Really cool
Okay.
opportunities. It's one of those things where the Lord, please guide. I'm not sure where we're going to end up. I pray that it is someplace that my family will feel safe and, adapt to the culture very quickly
Yep.
and have other Christian brothers and sisters that we can lean on and have a good local
Yep.
church that would bless us. But yeah, we're just in the season right now of just trusting the Lord that He'll open some doors.
And so you're looking at all those next steps now. So, well, I tell you, with all of your success here, if you end up doing some business as mission somewhere else, and there's an opportunity to invest in you and with you, be sure and let us know because we would. Everybody likes to invest in a winner, right? So
All glory to
you're,
Christ. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so you're doing a great job. Well, Matt, is there anything else that I haven't asked you that I should be asking you, or anything else that you'd like to
Yeah.
say?
Just want to be an encouragement to the listeners and you, Todd, as well. Everything that you do for the Lord, it matters. It's seen. Whatever is done in the dark, even though you may not think anybody will see it, it will be brought to the light. So just want to encourage everybody, whatever your ministry looks like in your business, however you're having spiritual conversations with anyone or praying for people, your employees, whatever that looks like, I just want to celebrate that and encourage you to keep doing it. It started so small for us. The Lord has grown it and snowballed it. And really, it's just, yeah, He wants our faith. He wants our service, and He rewards that in all different kinds of ways. And yeah, it's just a blessing to be able to do it, to bring His kingdom here on earth.
Yeah, completely agree. Matt, you've been such a great blessing to us. Thank you so much for everything you've done for your franchise, for your people, for your team, for the Lord, for the culture, and for our listeners today. So we want to just thank you and bless you, Matt, in your future journeys. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Todd. God bless you, brother.
God bless.